Chapter 23. Varjak woke from his dream in the alley. It was night time again. He and Holly had slept through the day. A streetlight buzzed on and off behind him. A full moon, round and white as a saucer of milk, shone comfortingly up above. But it was quickly smothered by the street-black clouds. He needed to go to the litter tray. Holly was fast asleep, and they were still on Sally Bones's territory. Well, it was all outside, wasn't it? The whole world was his litter tray. He could go wherever he pleased. He slouched out of the shadows and did his business by a heap of rubbish. What a relief it was. His awareness tingled. The fur on the back of his neck prickled. It felt like he was being watched. He swivelled to face the top of the alley and immediately wished that he hadn't. A thin, white cat sat there. She was licking her claws, watching him with one icy blue eye. Where the other eye should have been was an empty socket. Her fur was spotless clean, but around her was the smell of darkness, of dank and deadly things and places. By her side prowled a dozen street cats, thick-necked and bristling, grimy as the city itself. They were bigger than the white cat, but somehow they looked like soft little kittens beside her. "Good, was it, Sonny?" she asked. Varjak couldn't answer. He kept staring at her, unable to speak. She was all muscle and bone. He could see her ribs. They jutted out as if they were trying to escape from her. "Now, this isn't your territory," she said, flexing her bone-white claws. "And you shouldn't ever do what you've just done all over someone else's territory, especially if that someone is me." She smiled a crooked smile, but her single eye stayed cold and hard. He had no doubt who he was looking at. No wonder poor Tam was terrified of Sally Bones. "Speak when the boss talks to you," growled a striped tomcat with slash marks all over his face. Varjak recognised him. It was Razor. Holly stood up beside Varjak. "He didn't mean it," she said. "He's new here." Her legs quivered, but her voice was steady. "New, is he?" said the thin white cat. Her tail swished angrily. She nodded at the stripy Tom. "Razor, why wasn't I told about this?" The Tom began to shake. "I didn't think it was important, boss. He's just a pet." The air seemed to shimmer for a moment, and then Razor howled and clutched his face. There was a fresh, new slash mark across one side, and the white cat's claw was tipped with blood. "It is not your job to think, Razor," she hissed. "It's your job to tell me everything. And if you can't do your job, I'll find someone else who can. Understand me?" Razor nodded, still clutching his face. In that moment of quiet, Varjak could hear his own heart thumping in his throat. "Now, get some information out of this new cat," spat Sally Bones. "I have a feeling he's something to do with the vanishings. Luger and Wes, you two watch his little friend." Razor and the other two cats came towards Varjak and Holly. Holly's ears twitched nervously. "Why couldn't you wait till we got home?" she whispered. "We've had it now." "We could make it over those walls," said Varjak, searching for a way out. "They'd only catch us. At least Razor's doing it, not her." Holly shivered. "Just don't tell them about my alleys, okay?" Razor marched up to them, eyes slitted, claws glinting. The slash on his face was red and raw. "What's your name, troublemaker?" he snarled. "Varjak Paw." "Where are you from?" "Mesopotamia." Razor's scarred face twisted into a scowl. "Very funny. Where are you really from? Where do you sleep?" Varjak glanced at Holly. What could he do? Anything he said could give her secret away. He could only keep it by staying silent. "Are you going to open up?" said Razor. His mouth curled back, baring his teeth. "Or do I have to open you up?" There was no sound at all in the alley, except the streetlight's buzz. Varjak kept his mouth shut. They all stared at him. Razor, Sally Bones, her gang, all staring at him. Varjak felt boxed in and alone. The pressure mounted in his head, but he stared straight back at Razor without a word. He was determined not to look away. "Well?" demanded Razor. The Tom's eyes burned into him, but Varjak hung on. Don't look away. Don't let him win. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Somewhere in the distance, a monster roared. Razor blinked and looked away. Varjak relaxed, and in that instant, something slashed his cheek. Razor's claws. Varjak reeled back, stunned. His head was on fire. I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll never forget, growled Razor. He came forward. Varjak lashed out. The street cat dodged easily and jabbed his jaw in return. Blood sprayed from Varjak's face in a thick red fountain. Another hit to the face. Varjak's legs felt weak. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Holly start to move, but Luger and Wes moved faster, blocking her off. It was just him and Razor now. Not so tough, are you? Spat Razor. I can finish you any time. I'm going easy on you. Now, talk! He slammed Varjak, knocking him off balance. Varjak staggered into a rubbish heap. It squelched around him. He was still standing, but he couldn't take another hit. Moving circles, the fifth skill. You can dodge any blow. You can strike any enemy. It was his only chance. Varjak breathed as Razor came up for the kill. In 2, 3, 4. Energy pulsed in Varjak's belly. Out 2, 3, 4. Time slowed down. In 2, 3, 4. Razor struck in slow motion. Out 2, 3, 4. Razor missed. In 2, 3, 4. Out 2, 3, 4. This is good, thought Varjak Paw. He could see the others staring at him. Holly's mouth hung open in surprise. Razor bared his teeth, came in again, moving as if through mud. Varjak opened his circle, let loose the energy, and hit Razor with everything he had right between the eyes.